Well, with breaking news today, in a sort of a mixed emotion, JC Tretter, former center of the Cleveland Browns, had decided to retire. We'll talk about his impact on his roster. We'll talk about his role in the players' union. We'll also talk about the role injuries had in his retirement. We'll do that coming up. And it's the last preseason game coming up against the Chicago Bears. We'll go through who's going to play, who might not play, and we'll preview that for you as well. It is G. Bush. It is Jeff Lloyd on the Locked On Browns podcast.
You are Locked On Browns, your daily Cleveland Browns podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends, your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound, LGB. I'm the LOB, the Locked On Browns podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Your hosts, Jeff Lloyd at Jeff_LJ_Lloyd, Mr. Garrett Bush, the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, of course, 92.3, The Fan, The Barbershop.
I must say something before you start. I gotta say something. I saw you the other day on Cleveland.com, my guy. Yeah. Yes, sir. Yeah, that star is rising. Every time I turn the radio on and look at the TV, my man Jeff is moving and shaking. Hey, listen. Hey, congratulations, man. You should have been on that, man. But I'm glad to see you progressing and you doing your thing. I couldn't be happier, man. Rosie says, there goes Jeff. That's Jeff right there. I turned on and say it is him, man. So shout out to you, man.
And look, big appreciation, the opportunities, as the growth of the show and everything that comes along with it. It's outstanding. It's fun to do. I don't know if I can keep myself as busy as G. Bush, but as we say that, jokingly enough, for the next few episodes, they basically told Garrett, look, if you take some vacation, you better take the next couple of days because the grind is about to begin. Garrett also pregame, postgame shows. Ton of stuff. So going to keep Garrett Bush busy pretty much 7 days a week. If they're going to find a way to put an eighth day in a week, they're going to find a way to make Garrett Bush do some work. So make sure you're checking all that out here. Like we said, we're going to get to some thoughts here on JC Tretter. Of course, announcement today, the Browns players are going to be seeing some playing time here, the Browns starters in the final preseason game. But today's episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. It's not a crisis line. It's not self-help. It's professional therapy done securely online, available to people worldwide. And they have a special offer for all our listeners. Get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/lockedon. Go ahead.
No, it's so crazy. Yeah. You put me up on the JC Tretter thing, and I was just reading a little bit here, and it's crazy. You start off by saying how much fluid he was getting taken out of that knee, man. And when you start get the arthritic knee that keeps swelling up, that's very difficult to come back from. Very difficult, Jeff.
And well, the news broke today. And if you got a chance to read the article, I'm not sure that this is a decision JC Tretter made or was maybe made for him. But former Cleveland Browns center JC Tretter has officially retired from the NFL. Does he come back? We'll see. You never know. It's difficult. But for a player who has been with the Browns for the past 5 seasons, the things JC Tretter has done in his time here, the injuries are something that'll always be mentioned. And I think it's just because of a testament to the man that he was able to play through all of this. When he came here to the Browns from Green Bay, some of the issues and why he was never re-signed long-term in Green Bay were just that. There were injuries. He came here, joined forces with Joel Bitonio. And if you go far enough back in the archives, there is an episode of Locked On Browns with Joel Bitonio. And Joel Bitonio actually had to cut himself off to the point of speaking about JC Tretter, the man, the teammate, the personality he was. Because he was like, I think we just dominated this entire episode. And it was basically, it turned into a love letter to JC Tretter. He was that type of player. With all the injuries he had, he missed time because of COVID. Nothing else. He missed time because of COVID. In this piece today, he had mentioned that, people had, I guess, former teammates, friends, talking about his health, talking about his knees. And why this wasn't as widely known, I don't understand, because I know it. I know John Costco know it, and Garrett, Brett Sobolewski, plenty of people you wanted to talk Browns with knew the issues with JC Tretter and how bad his knee had become. We're talking about a guy who's 31 years old and literally a knee described as arthritic already. Certainly not good in any way whatsoever. Sacrifice for the game, love of the game, and you get paid really, really well. Certainly some things you're going to have to deal with post-career wise. But he talked about the fact that being the NFL Players Association president was probably going to end his career before any football injury did. It's a difficult thing to do. You're basically taking one, for the team, literally all the players in the league. And I've always talked about this. There are going to be times where you have players in the league who are mad at you, physically mad at you. There have times where you have players in the league who are absolutely thrilled with you. You have to take a stance based on what you feel is the greater good for the Players Association. Not everybody's going to agree with you. And certainly the people that you are representing are not always going to agree with you. So it was always tough for JC in that regards. He had talked in this piece today that he would have went to the Vikings. They reached out to the Vikings. Vikings never even asked for an MRI, never asked for any medicals. Kwesi obviously being there, would know JC Tretter, would know JC Tretter well. Never really got a call back from Minnesota. Nothing was really mentioned about what went on over the last 2 weeks with the Browns as far as, losing Nick Harris and whether or not the Browns maybe had interest. But it did maybe sound on JC Tretter's and Garrett that maybe the only locker room he could have been in ever again was Cleveland's, and that, doing this job that he's doing, probably signaled the end of his playing days.
Yeah, I think Joe Batonio kind of pointed to that. I was at camp today that Joe talked about it, and he basically said, it seems kind of suspicious when you have one of a top 5, top 10 center in the league, and he's out there on the market and nobody's reaching out. And he says it seems a little suspicious to him, and it is. One of the and Joe and I think JC Tretter said it in one of the articles was, when you take that position in the prime of your career, you kind of know what you're signing up for. Because you're in between a rock and a hard place in terms of what you need to do for the Players Association, and you're a fierce advocate of what the players' rights are, and then trying to toe the line as a company man, right? As a center, you're the overall leader of the offensive line. You're making a lot of those calls, and it has to be intimidating for organizations to have the president of the Players Association, not just a rep, not just a guy who's intermingled in it or entrenched in it. You got the Players Association president on your squad. So good and well, anything that goes awry, you can't make no moves. Whether it's how many days ago you hitting, whether it's how many days am I in here in practice, what's the protocol in terms of cutting players, finding players, all of that brings a whole different level of scrutiny to your organization. And for GMs and for head coaches, that has to be a difficult thing. Think about it like this. We've all been on jobs where we've been going somewhere and they say, hey guys, hey, corporate's in today. Corporate's in, we got one of the big bosses, big wigs out of New York. He's coming down to check out some stuff. And all of a sudden, your boss want to clean up emails. All of a sudden, we dusting. What are we dusting the desk for? I don't even what is. Hey, you guys are aware of the protocol. You're like, what protocol, man? We ain't never had no. Well, that's what happens, and that's kind of the same spotlight that your organization is under when the president is there. So, could JC Tretter still play? Sure, but when you have an Ivy League background and when you have an Ivy League education, I think he'll be just fine. He will land on his feet. He'll be just fine. And I think he still has is it 18 more months left as president rep. So he'll be there in 18 months. And I will suggest that one of the things that we saw with Deshaun Watson, right, in the whole situation with that, the Cleveland Browns, they probably wasn't bringing him in. No way. They're like, okay, we're in a fight with the NFL over Roger Goodell and power and suspensions. Why don't we not bring JC Tretter in here right now to kind of just pour some gasoline on that? But I think JC Tretter will be definitely looking at policies, punishments, procedures, and there's still some stuff out there left for both sides to be concerned about, because look, that they just signed that collective bargaining agreement. They just did that, but the players are not excited about what's in that player agreement. And I think he's going to have a pivotal part of what to do with that in his next 18 months.
It's difficult for any player where you want to keep going, but you can't. But for JC Tretter, this is something he knew was going to come with the gig. And the fact that he had talked to teammates in the past and friends in the past and basically said it was going to go this route, but it's having a greater impact. And look, who knows, what this does for JC Tretter further down the road. Always very intelligent guy, very well-educated guy. When he finishes this next stint with the, as the Players Association presidency, does it, lead to TV work? Does it lead to maybe going to work with an organization? Or, does, one day he go towards into some sort of, maybe be player agency type of thing where, looking out. And one of the things where NFL teams may have had problems with JC Tretter was his fact that we're working our players too hard. That was a big stance of JC Tretter's. He wanted to slow down on the amount of contact that was being done in the spring, the amount of OTAs, training camp. All of these things are things that JC Tretter stood for. He was a player that was injured a lot and said, well, you know what? One of the easiest way to keep your players from getting injured is from not having them play in things that give you a game-like atmosphere unless it's actually a game. And, so it's the path he chose. Now moving on, obviously married, got 2 children, a nice life for JC Tretter. And this is not a guy that you can ever, if you're a Browns fan, ever think any negative thought over. This guy was an absolute warrior, always dinged up, rang the bell every game, played on a Thursday night. Even now, keep in mind, played on a Thursday night last year. Garrett, we talked about it. First 7 weeks of the season, this guy was getting his knee drained every week to go play. So he played in a Sunday game, had his knee drained, and went out there, played on Thursday Night Football. Guy was a warrior. All the best to JC Tretter. It was certainly not good. This is going to be something where he's going to ride off into the sunset because we're going to hear this guy's names for a bit.
Hey, listen, I said this earlier. I've torn my ACL in both my left knee and right knee. Now, my ACL in my left knee is fine. It's my jumping leg. If I'm playing basketball, that leg is great. My right knee is the one that had the problem with it. So in my right knee, after I practice and I do a lot of, conditioning or whatever I do, my knee swells up. So one of the things that takes a lot out of you is the simple fact that they're draining it. Sometimes I would have to get my knee drained after practice. Sometimes I would have to get it drained before practice. And that's just to get the fluid off your knee so you can bend it and be able to play. I think I probably had my knee drained, both of them, over 200 times. It's one of the most irritating. It's not excruciating pain, but yeah, it's not fun. But when you're doing that just to get to play and you got to take 4 to 5 hours of icing and rehab just to get ready to practice, it just wears on you. And eventually you just say, it's not worth it. It's just, you play for the game, you play for your teammates, but the rehab and stuff you got to do to get ready to play just ain't worth it. So, and he, like you said, you kind of know what it is, so you just count down the days until you just say, bro, I can't do it anymore. And so JC, you made a lot of money, made a nice career of it. And I think, like I said before, he'll land in a soft spot.
And if anybody wants to have any idea of some of the things JC Tretter went through, the amount of times of icing his knee, there were times where his knee showed signs of frostbite. So if you need any indication of what type of effort this guy put in to put on this Browns uniform week in, week out, and play like a damn star, that's all you need to know. We're going to get to a little bit more here. We got an announcement today. Finally going to get to see some Browns starters in the preseason Saturday night against the Bears. So we're going to get to all that. Keep rolling through here. Your latest Locked On Browns, Garrett Bush, Jeff, Lloyd in the house. If you haven't tried Built Bar Puffs yet, you are robbing yourself of one of life's greatest joys. And guess what? There's a new flavor. Ready? Delicious, indulgent cookie dough covered in chocolate. That's right. Built has done it again. Let me introduce you to your new favorite. Cookie dough chunk puffs have a light and chewy texture, real cookie dough chunks, and of course, they're covered in 100% real chocolate. All the joys of eating cookie dough without the hassle of making it. Plus, it's healthy for you. Run to Built.com to snag a box for you and the family. It will be the perfect treat, or you can find a really good hiding spot and just keep it all for yourself. Like all Built Bars, the new cookie dough puff chunk is covered in 1% real chocolate. That means they're healthy and tasty. Chocolate-covered cookie dough with a light, fluffy texture. Oh, so good. You are going to love the new cookie dough puff, whether you need a snack for your workout, a late-night treat, or just to grab a quick bite. Built is the perfect protein bar, and they taste better than a candy bar. Ditch the calories, fat, and sugar. Grab yourself a Built Bar. Go to Built.com. Use promo code LOCKED15 and get 15% off your order. Again, promo code LOCKED15.
Welcome back to the Locked On Browns podcast. G. Bush in the building, Jeff Lloyd in the building. Make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button, notification bell, and thanks for everyone on podcast world. Everybody out there, wherever you download your podcast, continue to do that, and make sure you make Locked On Browns your first listen of the day. Jeff, we finally got the heads up. We're gonna get to see some of the starters. Kevin Stefanski really was out here trying to, there was a tweet from practice earlier that it kind of made him see red a little bit. It looks like Jacoby Brissett hit his helmet, hit his hand on the helmet of somebody that got a little too close. If you ever want to see a coach get mad, just go ahead and get right next to the quarterback with under 2 or 3 weeks left to go in the preseason to get to the first game of the year. And he probably was that guy. I want to know who it is, because that dude either was going to run laps or you getting fined. Like, but
he might have been out of the building. You know what? We got cuts to make on Tuesday. You know what, dude? You can go now.
Yeah, you know what? Listen, let's go ahead and get him up out of here. I ain't seen nothing from you anyway, dog. But no, we're finally going to get to see some of these guys. And to me, well overdue. Well overdue. I understand that you want to keep them in bubble wrap, but man, I saw Patrick Mahomes playing the other day. Baker Mayfield was named starter. He's been playing since Jump Street. A lot of these guys are out here playing their starters, and I get it. We're in a little bit of a precarious situation because we don't have Deshaun Watson, and you're going to be playing with Brissett, and you know good and well you're going to need him to be successful. Josh Dobbs is a little good, but I've always thought from the Jump Street they should have been playing some. I guess that's water under the bridge. At least they're going to be playing in this game. Jeff, for the people that you are seeing, what are you looking forward to in terms of who's going to produce and what you're looking for as themes?
Well, for me, it's the amount of newness here. Breaking in a brand new wide receiver one in Amari Cooper. Any way you slice it, we were breaking in a new QB one, whoever starting week one, whether it was Josh Dobbs, Josh Rosen, of course, Jacoby Brissett or Deshaun Watson. Brand new quarterback, new system, new players around him. It's crazy at this point to think that Deshaun Watson is throwing passes to Anthony Schwartz and David Njoku in a game, but Jacoby Brissett has not. And he's slated to be your, quarterback one for the first 11 weeks. And this is tricky because they said it's going to be limited. Well, how are we going to get kind of everything in there? So, I mean, does that mean you're going in there with 10 scripted plays? Like, all right, we got 2 to Amari. We got to get a couple. We got to get a ball to David. We got to get a ball to Harrison Bryant. Obviously, we want Jacoby Brissett to get a ball to DPJ, to David Bell, to Anthony Schwartz. Somehow, some way, get Nick Chubb maybe a touch, Kareem Hunt a touch. There's going to be a lot they got to do here as far as manufacturing this, and this is why. And look, I understand maybe not week 2, because when you have those joint practices, you kind of rile each other up, and then maybe you get somebody who's got something that was building up during the joint practices, and maybe takes a shot in a game because he was there, a little agitated, still fired up from the practices. But for him not to play against Jacksonville, I don't know. For me, it was kind of a little bit of a misjustice. Again, there is a theory here for me is, do they really like what they see from Jacoby Brissett? And basically what they're saying is they don't want a lot of film out there. They don't want to give Carolina, basically much to work with or much ammunition as far as film to prepare themselves for that week 1 game. And we did the episode, and obviously we felt it was a disservice to him to this point. But, if he's going to go out there, in my opinion, it's either going to need to be 2, hopefully for the Browns, long drives, or maybe 3 drives, because I think you want to get him a little taste of everything when he's out there. Because, regardless, there is nobody he is throwing this ball to that he's comfortable yet within a game-like situation, Garrett.
And that can't be ignored. That can't be ignored. I understand that we simplify everything down to the lowest reduction. Like, okay, they'll just be fine, right? He's a quarterback. He's a veteran. Listen, if you haven't put the pads on, you haven't gotten out there against game type speed, and you haven't, 3-step look to hit the slant on a move. If you haven't done that in a practice, you're gonna be behind the 8 ball a little bit when it comes to the games. It may only take you a quarter to get up to game speed against the Panthers, right? May only take you a few series, but in the NFL, that's all that takes is those few series. And like you said, you just mentioned a bunch of guys on our team who really want to get work too. We talk about it. Kareem Hunt hasn't played in how long? Kareem Hunt has not played in a very long time. He was spent most of last year injured, right? You take a look at some other guys that would love to get that playing time. To get the Grant Delpit has never been a full-time starter. How's about getting him out there with the starters, making him feel a little comfortable moving around, communication on the back end with John Johnson, right? Hey, we say Newsom, right? We want to put him in a slot. We haven't seen him in a slot. We haven't seen him do that before. He's new to that position. So there's a lot of different things that I would like to see, and you're not going to be able to see them if you're only playing 2 quarters or two little series here or there. Guys like Chase Winovich, I haven't even seen him. There's a lot of people who have not been playing and not been able to get any reps. So I don't see how you get past them not playing at least a half in terms of giving them some reps and figuring out getting comfortable.
Well, and of course, we talked about this and why the joint practices were so important, leading into that game against the Eagles. And it actually worked out for the Browns. There were some sustainable drives, so you were able to get some work in. But, I mean, what if you go out there and it's, 6, 7 plays? Is that going to be enough? Because it feels like 6 or 7 live reps isn't really like you got any live reps at all. So it's going to be really difficult. And, Jacoby needs this work. And, the last thing we want to do is to sit here third quarter, week 1, and say, Jacoby Brissett looks really rusty, because then you did the player a disservice, anyway. And I'm going to tell you right now, the way it's going to work with the media if he does look rusty. Because trust me, they're all waiting. These pieces are halfway written about saying, well, Jacoby Brissett, I had somebody literally ask him yesterday, how hard is it for you to not be Deshaun Watson? Oh, well, it's really hard not to be Deshaun Watson.
Right.
Like, I know how not good I am compared to Deshaun Watson. Don't worry about it. I'm tight with that, really. I'm good with it. Which was just a strange question, the way to ask that question is to say, what do you do to not try to go out there to play like Deshaun Watson, things of that nature, and understanding your limitations? You basically don't call the guy out. And Jacoby kind of had fun with his answer, which I love, Garrett.
I think you brought up a great point. I mean, sometimes in this business as a coach, you got to do yourself some favors here. If you understand that, Jacoby Brissett is not going to be getting certain amounts of reps, the media is going to be all over you, and rightfully so in this case, right? Sometimes the media gets it wrong, but sometimes the media gets it right. And one time, if you come out here and he does not look prepared, it's just such an easy, low-hanging fruit to say, well, he didn't play in the first game. He didn't play in the second game. He got 2.5, 3 snaps on a quick 3 and out in the last game. And then you expect him to strap it up, go 100% full speed in a game against a motivated team in Baker Mayfield's first. What did you think was going to happen? What did you think? So, to me, I just really expect them to come out there. Now, they come out here and light it up and put some points on the board and look like things are all clicking on all cylinders. Then, of course, I'm all for taking them out, putting them back on the sideline, have them drink Kool-Aid and put towels around their neck. But I at least need to see some sort of sample size in some of these other players that I haven't seen in almost a year and a half.
And just one thing to close things out with Jacoby Brissett and Browns fans, I know there's a lot of negativity about Jacoby Brissett for 11 weeks, but you want something to hang your hat on. Jacoby Brissett, interception percentage in his NFL career, 1.2%. Aaron Rodgers, arguably the best quarterback in the NFL, interception percentage, 1.3%. The guy doesn't turn the rock over. So hopefully that can continue in his time here with the Browns. And as we keep saying, strong running game, no quarterback mistakes, strong defense, usually going to translate to some success. We're going to go here to segment 3 in a second. Garrett's going to give us 3 players he's looking for Saturday night. I'm going to give you a couple things I'm looking for Saturday night. Continue to roll on through here. You're Locked On Browns, Garrett Bush and Jeff Lloyd. Look, the last 2 years, there's an entire pandemic, locked in the house. There hasn't been a time that any of you haven't thought about the fact that maybe you just need some help. BetterHelp Online Therapy will assess your needs and can match you with your own licensed professional therapist in less than 48 hours. It's not a crisis line. It's not self-help. It's professional therapy done securely online, available to people worldwide. You can schedule weekly videos or phone sessions so you don't have to be on camera if you don't want to. And getting therapy every week is as easy as a few clicks away on your laptop or, of course, on your phone. It's more affordable than traditional offline therapy, and financial aid is available. BetterHelp is a great way to invest in yourself. Visit their website and read their testimonials. They're posted daily, satisfied patients talking about the availability of the therapists they're working about, talking about the understanding, talking about the promptness and, getting word back from the people that they are seeking to help from. It's mind-boggling how well it is received at BetterHelp. In fact, so many people have been using BetterHelp that they are recruiting additional therapists in all 50 states. They have a special offer for all our listeners. Get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/lockedon. That's 10% off your first month of online therapy at betterhelp.com/lockedon.
Well, we are back. Browns' last preseason game, Browns versus Bears. Only 3 preseason games this year. Used to be 4. Used to be more than that back in the day.
JC Tretter. Part of JC Tretter's influence.
There it is. He has a lasting effect. 3 preseason games, and I would not expect. I'm gonna be honest with you. It might be 2 really quickly. I think they're gonna go. I think they're gonna go to 18 games and have 2 more preseason games.
Preseason games don't make money, Gary. Regular season games make money.
Regular season games make money. So here's, there's a couple things that we're looking at in terms of what do you want to see for this game, man? So, really quickly, I just want to see in and out of the huddle, no penalties, right? The worst thing that you can have is a guy on first drive, false start penalties, moving, pre-snap motion penalties, all of that. I don't want to see that. No holdings, just crispness. Second thing I want to see the short game. I want to see how well you complete the short game. So, because those are the routes that are going to be open and available. Everybody's going to give you the bread and butter stuff, whether or not it's on your bootlegs where you got your tight ends dragging. Are you hitting it? Do you get the ball out correctly? 3-step drop on a 3rd and 5. Are you able to get the slant route? Are you running it at depth? Can you catch the football, bring it in, move the chains? And then third, no turnovers. I like to see no turnovers on the field. No turnovers in terms of dropping the ball, putting the ball on the turf. I don't want to see any turnovers as far as interceptions, tip passes. Those are the 3 things that I'm really concentrating on looking on when it comes to this game, because not so much the outcome, it's about the crispness and the cohesiveness of the offensive unit. What are you looking for, Jeff?
For me, I'm gonna go with more of a player side angle of it. Ethan Pocic. Look, it's a weird situation. He was a late signing. When he got here, it kind of looked like maybe here there's a guy who was, maybe gonna battle to maybe get a roster spot. All of a sudden now you are the starting center on an offensive line that is highly regarded, on an offensive line that's going to need to be top shelf. Once again, it didn't work out in Seattle. You get to come to one of the greatest offensive line tutors in the NFL's history in Bill Callahan. Is this an opportunity here for Ethan Pocic, for a guy who maybe was wondering how much longer his days in the NFL will be? He's here on a 1-year short deal. Does he possibly ball out and work himself towards a significant 3rd contract in the NFL? And most importantly is you got to make sure nobody touches this quarterback. We cannot have Jacoby Brissett getting hit in any way whatsoever. Next one, go with David Bell. Last week it was, there was 1 drop, 3 for 48, looked impressive. When you are out on the field, if you are David Bell, guess what? Most likely the ball is coming your way. They're going to take away Amari Cooper. They're going to take away Donovan Peoples-Jones. They're going to focus on David Njoku. They're going to focus on Harrison Bryant, whatever back is in the backfield. David Bell, if you're on the field and it's pass play, there's a pretty good opportunity. The ball is coming your way. They are going to make you have to show that you can be part of this offense and you can be part of something that the defense is going to have to worry about. And I think just Cade York, it's gone so well for Cade York. You want it to continue to go well. You don't want an opportunity where there's a missed kick this week that maybe looks bad. Then you got to dwell on that for 2 weeks before you go down to Carolina. Because look, as everybody's been giddy about Cade York, we've done this with guys forever in the summer. Yeah. Cade York, you just want it to, because none of this matters. The first kick you kick September 11th in Carolina is what matters for Cade York. So you'd like to see that just continue for him. And then your rotational guys, just keep it up. Martin Emerson, Isaiah Thomas going to get back out to the field this week. When your number's called, know what you're doing and basically find a way to contribute, be the hammer, not the nail, that type of mentality. So Bears, Browns, Saturday night, 7:30. Televised game for everybody. Gets to go out Saturday, and look, it's the time now where kids, sports is picked up, everything. Saturday night, you get to sit down, you can flip back and forth because I think Guardians are going to be on the West Coast. So you catch your Browns, get to the Guardians late night. So should be, an interesting few days here. Just one quick programming note before I kick it to Garrett. It'll be a little different here over the next few days. Garrett's going to take the only vacation time he's going to have probably till the dead of February when nobody wants to go on vacation anyway. So things will be a little bit different while Garrett's away. He'll be back Tuesday. But Garrett, just some final thoughts here. And it's gone quick, man. I mean, we started this. We were like, everything seems so far away. But here we are closing the door on preseason game number 3. And September 11th feels like it's, just a couple days away.
It's going to be a wild ride, man. I'm looking forward to it, man. Well, thanks for everybody who rode with us, man. I for Locked On, as far as how we've been doing it, man, we had the bullseye, man. We were, we had the Baker Mayfield stuff going on. We had the Deshaun Watson stuff going on. So we spent a lot of time talking about a lot of other things, but we made it through that era. Now we're here to the games, and now we have an opportunity. This is going to be a really, really pivotal season for the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland Browns, for once, have an opportunity to get where they want to go. They have a great roster around the quarterback position. This year, it's going to be so interesting to see how Jacoby Brissett handles himself for 11 game. And then it's almost like 2 seasons. It's the Jacoby Brissett 11, and then right when Deshaun Watson comes back, it's like a brand new team, brand new offense, brand new outlook. And so our goal and your goal and the wishes and hopes are that we can stay afloat. We can have a great record in their first few games, and then we get Deshaun Watson back. And now we're talking about something that could be magical. We have to get, it's a little acclimation period, but still, we expect things to be picking up during the November, late November, early December. It'll be an exciting time to be a Browns fan. It's an exciting time to be alive right now in general. So we're looking forward to that. I'll catch you guys back on Tuesday. Jeff will hold you down, but then when we get back on Tuesday, we to the nitty gritty, man. And I wouldn't have any other way.
Baby. Ready to be regular season mode by then. So we got to a ton here today. All the best to JC Tretter. Obviously, a guy that's not going to be able to just vanish off in a retirement here, still holding his NFL Players Association job. Starters getting to play Saturday night. Some expectations we have there. Some things we're looking for from possible matchup here Saturday night when the Browns will face the Bears at First Energy. As always, appreciate everybody who makes Locked On Browns their first listen every single day, whether it is on your favorite podcast platform or, of course, now available on YouTube. Make sure you're following. Make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. Make sure you have those notifications on so as soon as the content drops, it is there for you folks to digest. He is Garrett Bush, part of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Of course, 92.3 The Fan. Pre- and post-game work coming up here for Garrett as season 2022 kicks off. Make sure you're following at GBush91. Myself, at Jeff_LJ_Lloyd. Show itself, Locked On Browns, follow back account. DMs are open. Everybody knows from that angle. A ton to get to. A ton coming over the weekend here as we go into preseason finale against the Chicago Bears. Appreciate you all, as always. And this has been your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound. LGB on the LOB. Let's go Browns.